Hello, so today I've got a wonderful guest, a guy full of integrity and authenticity and insights into living a more resilient and successful life. He's called Jay Cardiello. Those listening in America will know who he is because he's on TV shows over there in the press all the time. He's not so well known in the UK yet. Hopefully he will be more after today's episode. So it's a good one. Now, before we go on to the interview, I just want to mention something new I've set up, which I think Jay would approve of. It's called Warrior Mindset Lessons. It's a daily email service. It's completely for free. Every day, basically, in your inbox, you get one of my emails, either a quote, an insight, a tip, or a story to help you become a little bit more resilient, a bit tougher. It's all based on my Nuk-Su program, if you guys know about that, which is all about warrior mind, warrior body. So this is a mindset lesson. So I take from the world of Zen and samurai life and philosophy and stoicism and various different sources. So if you know about Nuk-Su, you'll love this. If you don't, well, I guess you could read about it. But the main thing is every day you get a good email and a little bit of positivity in your inbox. And more importantly, if you get bored or a bit too intense, a bit too much, just unsubscribe. No big deal. All right. So without further ado, check out Jay Cardiello.
Welcome to the MX podcast featuring Dan Roberts.
3, 2, 1, go. Welcome, Jay. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be on your show.
Oh, thanks, Jay. So, look, I know you. We haven't talked before, have we? So this is quite fun for me. But I know of you. I know you're one of New York's leading trainers, but I know you're so much more than that. I know your work kind of really transcends fitness. And I'm always fascinated by coaches' kind of evolutions, how their philosophies evolve and how their careers evolve. So I think that's the most obvious place to start this conversation. I'd love to find out more about your journey.
Sure. So I'll tell you a little 2-minute, I always say, like the Cliff Note version of what I do and who I am. So I started off first as an athlete, track and field athlete at the University of Arkansas. I had the opportunity to be on their national championship team back in '96. And one of the best things that's ever happened to me during that time is I was practicing in the long jump and I came down wrong on one of my approaches and I drifted off to the side of the runway and came down on my plant leg and actually cracked the tailbone in half. And so a big shock went from my leg up to my head and I just collapsed. And I spent about 6 months in a body cast and about 2 years just really learning to walk again. And it was at that point I really got into mindset and sleep. And instead of going off to law school, which is a great career, but it wasn't for me at that time, I just really dove into coaching. And I began my coaching career, fortunately, in the NFL and Major League Baseball, the XFL, the Arena League, and then spent about 4 years in World Championship Boxing. And then in 2005, I decided, you know what, this traveling is really getting to me. Let me try something new. And lo and behold, I happened to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. And I lived with 50 Cent from 2005 to around 2010, still work with him and worked with him for about 15 years, but 4 of those years I lived with him, and he's just a phenomenal beast. And what I mean by beast is that the mindset, and that's one of the big things I do, is I get contracted out or retained by entertainers or athletes to work on behavioral, nutrition, and physicality. Physicality I always feel is the least most imperative thing in terms of fitness and wellness, and we'll get into that in a second. Did put out a couple books, was on a TV show, had a TED Talk, Why Diet and Exercise Makes You Fat. But my career really changed in 2013. I was asked by a company called Exercise is Medicine to develop a behavior intervention program to help reduce chronic conditions associated with obesity. And they wanted a really physicality approach, a nutritional approach. And I said, to create sustainable outcomes, we need to focus on mindset. It has to be a behavioral change. So I went into one of those big, channeling things where you just spend about 2 weeks in one little room drinking a lot of coffee, and we put together this amazing program called Off the Scale. We implemented into the Mount Sinai hospital systems, and we had a 91% success rate after a year. We did about 5,000 people through it, and then from there implemented programming in everything from Microsoft to Dr. Oz's Share Care, various drug and alcohol rehabs, because we were able to see throughout the process, and actually Emory University did a great clinical on it, is that it's all about behavior change. It's food, is a habit. It's not the root cause. Drugs are a habit. It's not the root cause. Drinking is a habit. It's not the root cause. There's a root cause for everything. And people say, well, how did you know this? You're not a psychologist. You're not a doctor. But I had one of the best things happen to me is that from age 6 to 9, I was sexually abused by a neighbor. And it was at that point where if you can defeat yourself, yourself is the worst enemy that you'll ever have. You could learn so much about yourselves. And I always say I've been through the worst of times to give people the best of times. And, from that point from 6 to 9 to breaking my spine, and then, just in 2016, went through another great thing. And I always say these are great things because they're learning experiences. Was a massive divorce that left me bankrupt. And literally, you didn't even know this. I was homeless for quite some time, living on the street. And it was at that point where I just made a decision that, and all through these points, is that I'm never going to give myself the opportunity to ask what if, and I'm never going to be anything but a hero to my son.
Wow, man. Wow. There's so much to unpack there. Let's talk about off the scale first. Tell me more about that. That seems really fascinating.
Sure. So what we did is that we identified what we call Keystone Habits. So if you think about things that people do, and in terms of say drinking, there's usually a trigger. It's a habit loop. If you read, there's a book called Habit of something. And if you think about it, we're on a habit loop. So we have a trigger, and that sets you off. And then some people go to drugs, some people go to alcohol, some people go to food, some people go to porn to actually suppress that pain. And what happens is that habit then is cemented. And then all of a sudden, it just becomes a big loop. So whenever you have a trigger or stimuli, you go right for something that's either good or bad. Mm-hmm. So my first idea was to create what we call an unloved letter. So people, you write love letters to your spouse or partner or whatever. I had people write letters to themselves, their drugs, their food, and they call the unloved letter. And I went into drug and alcohol rehab, and I studied the impact that people had on themselves. And what I mean by that is that we're our worst enemy. Your worst enemy lives within the mirror. Every day you look at yourself, that's the enemy. You can only defeat yourself. So I studied people, not drugs. I studied people. And then I studied myself. And then what I figured is that if I can help people defeat themselves right from the very beginning, I can open up the trauma, open up the root cause, and then tap right into that. So the unloved letter, we would have people write this letter. And again, I do it in group settings as well as individual settings. And they would read it with passion, conviction, screaming it, yelling it. Some people would break down. On individual sessions, I would have the people I'd hold up to mitts or boxing mitts, and I would just have them punch them as hard as they can until they literally collapsed. In a group setting, we may put a pillow or a punching bag in the middle of the room, and they may beat it down with a bat. And then as soon as they would collapse from exhaustion, a bunch of people would come over and embrace them and hug them. If it's in an individual setting, I do the hugging. And then at that point, we talk about what happened and we talk about the trauma. So it's always a way that we can get to the root causes as fast as possible. Because in psychology, what they do is that we'll pick it up next time. We'll pick it up next time. There's nothing to pick it up next time. Once you identify the wound, you don't put a Band-Aid over it.
Yeah.
You make change from it. You learn from it. And then what we teach people is how to have gratitude for it.
So let's talk about that second life event you experienced. You're pretty young, right, when you had that major injury?
Correct. I was 23 years old at the time. Yes, correct.
So did you have that super positive mindset back then? Because I know I wouldn't. I'd be depressed as hell.
I was completely depressed, completely angry. But at that point, when you're in a body cast and you really can't do anything except look at the ceiling, I had to come to grips. And after about a few weeks of being depressed, it was just like, listen, I can either be a victor or a victim. And I chose to be a victor. And listen, there's some, we always have bad days. I have bad days all the time, but it's what I learned from them, and it's how I come from them. And then it's also too how I can change them very quickly. So during the time when I was laying on my back, I said, listen, okay, you can't walk right now. So that's not a thing, but you can make physical change by working on your mental game. It's just like if people fantasize about something, they get excited, or you see athletes, especially in track and field, they visualize their jump or they visualize going over the bar. And that's what I did. I visualized myself walking, running, and seeing a life that I would close the book, that chapter on, nobody else.
Wow. I mean, it's super. I mean, it's super impressive. What I'm really impressed with, just go back to your early career, like you know, work with like forget the celebrity stuff. I get that world, but working with high level athletes sort of quite early on in your career, how did that come about?
Well, one of the biggest things is that that came about actually through a mutual friend. Again, it's you know, you always have to. It's not is that it's a great opportunity. Are you great for the opportunity? And originally, the Arena Football League did not have strength coaches, and there was a league, a team. I played in the league in the New Jersey, New York area, and an opportunity had opened up that I knew one of the players, and he said, "Listen, we're looking for a strength coach. It's unpaid," and that was my first ticket in. And when I performed well there, I was able to start sending out resumes and went off into the NFL. And one of the biggest things that able to really impact myself and my career is that I was able to create rapport. Rapport is power. See, if I say, "Hey, I'm from New York," and we're say over in London, and you're from New York, it's like we have rapport. We're all going to be congruent in our thoughts. So I remember going into the training room once, and I went up to an athlete, and I was like, "Hey, man, sorry to hear about your knee." He goes, "What do you know about that?" And I said, "Well, I broke my spine." And at that point, he was like, "What? You broke your what?" I said, "My spine." He said, "Well, how you are?" I said, "Well, you know, I also had 6 knee surgeries. I had shoulder surgery because once your spine goes, everything goes." And it was at that point that athlete said, "Well, listen, if that kid can do it, I can do it." So rapport is power.
Oh man, I couldn't agree more. So let's take a step back, because I know this will be interesting to listeners. You said that you lived with 50 Cent. Now, I've lived with clients for a week or two, but you probably lived with him for like a long period of time. Tell me about that. What was it like?
So one of the big things about him is he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't do anything like that. Same things that I don't indulge in. So we already had rapport with another. Second thing is he's a workaholic. And, you know, there's a way to work smart and there's a way to work hard. He works very smart. He calculates his moves even before it happens. He anticipates things happening. And to me, it was like reading a book. And every day I got to learn from one of the greatest entrepreneurs in the world, but it also too, he became my brother. And when you're living with somebody, and I'm very selective who I live with because I want to create an environment that's positive. So if I do live a client and I feel there's unrest or we don't have rapport, I may say this is not going to work out and try to find someone else. So I always analyze before I go in, what's my end game? And my end game with him was to really help him to create not only the best body, but mindset, but then also too, to help me create the best mindset. And that approach and that congruency that we had early on really helped.
So when you were working with him, that's when you started increasingly developing your mindset strategies, sort of testing them out on him a little bit?
Test them on him, but I also tested them out on myself. You know, I test everything out on myself before I bring it forth to the client or a patient or anybody that I'm working with. So I use myself as a guinea pig. So, because again, you know, we are not only our worst critics, but we are our worst enemies. So once you defeat yourself, once you defeat your mindset, meaning in a sense any negativity, you can create anybody, you can create change in anybody. See, there are very few people in the world that can really, really create, in a sense, a change within themselves, a sustainable change within themselves, but many people can create changes on other people. So if you're able to defeat yourself, you're able to help anybody.
So, yeah, so true. Now, when a lot of personal trainers follow me in London and listen to this podcast. And in New York, I mean, I knew you as one of the top New York trainers. You had books and you're on TV shows. How did you get into those things? Because surely it's more than just having a positive mindset, because there's a lot of coaches out there who are positive, but you've had so much more success.
I exhausted every opportunity. You know, when I talk and I go to work with trainers to help them build their brands, one of the big things is that you have to exhaust every opportunity. I learned a statement early on is that your greatest strength is arm's length. Nobody's self-made. Nobody, on Instagram, it's sad because you see someone all of a sudden succeeding. They have 1 million followers and this, and you think, oh, wow, they're overnight success. Nobody's an overnight success. So I basically, early on, as I wrote down everybody that I knew, and then from that, I said, what can I give them in return for asking them for help? Nice. So by giving, I received. So every year I just added people to my list because our net worth is our network. So I just adapted and created a large network. And people may listen, well, I don't know anybody. You do know somebody. You may have a mother, a brother, or sister that may know somebody who knows somebody. But then also, too, they don't have to be some spectacular, well-known person for you to capitalize on their education. So through that, you can just sit maybe, with your sister, your brother, your mom, dad, whoever, and then just learn. And I just listened more than I spoke, and that really helped. And then I said is that I put inside a work ethic that I am going to bust myself as hard as I can early on so I can enjoy things later. And enjoying the time with my kids now is the thing that I really wanted to focus on. And that's why I had kids later on in my career.
Well, you know what? It's nice to hear because I also help a lot of trainers, and so many come to me because they say, hey, how do you train famous people, or how do you make money? And it's the ones who do really well, like yourself, they focus on offering value as opposed to their own career. And I think our own career kind of work themselves out. If we offer amazing value, then people talk about us.
So true. So true. And that's one of the biggest things is that, you said something very poignant just now, is that everybody wants to be, to train celebrities. I always say everybody's a celebrity, because if you train, say, a rock star, are you going to treat them any better than when you train someone who's been coming to you for 5 years? Majority of people will. And I say, why? Well, you know what that could do for my career? That's not true. I would say celebrities come and go. Your current core clients stay with you forever. So you should be adding more value, and add more value than you're paid. If you're paid, $100 or how much you get paid out there per session, you got to add $200 to that session of your time, calling them, checking every day. I text my clients, even it's just like, hey, great workout yesterday, or hey, great mindset session, or hey, thinking about you today. Have a great one. I know you're going through a lot. You have to have constant contact. So add more value than you are paid, and you'll be paid more than you ever thought.
Yeah, I love that, Jay. I love hearing that because I couldn't agree more. And it's so kind of reassuring in the world where there's social media and it's kind of overwhelming. All the ways we can market ourselves, we have funnels and this and that, but still the best way is by just doing your job really well, and then people.
Of course.
So let's talk about fitness and wellbeing industry, because I know the London scene and I know the LA scene pretty well. I don't know the New York scene too well. How has it evolved? Because it seems like the sort of Wild West when I look at New York. It seems a bit, I don't know, you tell me. How is it?
So I'll say this, I step back from it a lot. As I said, I do more behavioral coaching now than anything. Mm-hmm. We didn't have the whole Instagram when I was an up and coming young buck and all that stuff. I wish we did, but it's very much, boutique classes are huge. The Rumbles, they did a great job. The Soul Cycles do a great job. They have Orange Theory coming in now. There's a host of group boutique classes which do extremely well. And that's the really forefront that's pushing them. We do have the large chain gyms such as the Blink, the Equinox, the Crunch, the Planet Fitnesses. They are all there. However, a lot of people follow or go into that silo. So what they can do is to tune out and tune into a person guiding you through, because so much in New York City is that it's a rat race. You step onto the wheel first thing in the morning and you go. Yeah. Going to a boutique is a session is basically a chance for a person to dive into something and just be led. And that's what people a lot of times are looking for, and they can push for 45 minutes or 50 minutes. The personal training scene, the one-on-one, it's blossom. It's in my opinion, it's sort of something that has adapted itself into in a luxury, meaning in a sense they have, their doctor, they have their lawyer, and they have their therapist. They have to have their trainer. And a lot of trainers have become, a lot of trainers are trainers who don't train anybody, become influencers on the internet and have never trained a day in their life. And then there's trainers who are hustling and bustling, and those are the guys that are just so well educated that you never even hear of. So I always tell people, it doesn't matter how many followers on Instagram that validates how good you are. A lot of them that have over 100,000 have never even trained the person and never will. They just really look good. And then you have people who have 2, 3, 4, 5 followers who are going forth and maybe just have 10 clients and are changing their lives, and not even changing those 10 client lives, but they're changing their sons, their daughters, their partners, their mother's life. So, it's a domino effect in the training industry.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds, the way you describe New York is pretty much exactly the same as London. It's dominated by boutique. The personal training scene is dominated by social media, fitness influencers. Where sometimes that's just, we have to remember, I think people listening have to remember, that's just a bubble. People who are good at PR aren't necessarily the best at training. They're different things. They can be, but, of course, you have to step back, don't you?
You bring up a very valid point, if I may jump in here. We always, people always classify, like, what are you, Jay? And I'm a health strategist. I help people strategize their health, whether it's behavioral, mindset, nutrition, whatever. I'm not a celebrity trainer. And I remember I spoke at this when I spoke at TED, is that, TMZ is not outside my door. There's no paparazzi hiding in my bushes. If you want to call yourself a New York-based trainer, great. If you want to call yourself an Instagram influence trainer, but I really wish people would stop saying they're celebrity trainers, because we're in a service industry. We're here to serve. That's why we signed up, that we can enable people, what I call defining their dash, to help them between the date of birth and the date of death to find their purpose and enjoy the best life ever. So when you enter in the service industry, you shouldn't be celebrating yourself. You should be celebrating other people.
It's so true. And it's funny, like, I actually talked to two trainers very recently in LA, Ashley Borden and Jason Walsh. I don't know if you know those guys.
Yes.
But they work with all kinds of celebrities, and if they ever get called a celebrity trainer, they throw up a little bit in their mouth. They hate that word, both of them.
Yeah.
And all they do is train celebrities. And it's the same thing, because it's like they've done well in their careers because they're all about service, all about giving. And those kind of labels are just kind of negates what they do in a way.
It's true. It's true. It is so true. And then you're getting off the path of what you entered. It's almost like people say celebrity doctor, celebrity chef, celebrity anything. No, everybody is a celebrity. And that's where society, in a sense, needs to change.
Yeah. God knows how. Yeah, the world's going through a funny time right now, isn't it? It's all a bit of a funny time. How are you coping with lockdown? How's it in New York?
So it's quite interesting. It's kind of where I am. I'm in what they call the financial district, or Tribeca. They're kind of intertwined. We have, on the east side is the financial district. On the west side is Tribeca. So down by City Hall, where I am, it's still pretty boarded up. There's not many people down here. They are doing, a lot of the schools, children have chose remote learning, and some have done blended learning where they go twice. There is a tick up that's going on back with COVID, unfortunately. It never went away. So now other parts of the city, as of yesterday, they actually closed certain parts of like Queens and Brooklyn, and then on the Upper East Side, you couldn't even tell that anything is going on. So it's really by borough, and it's also by I want to say different parts of the city, but it's not the same. As a New Yorker, being here for so many years, you're thinking it's not the same. The vibe isn't there, the feeling's not, and there are a lot of great businesses have closed down, and a lot of great people have left.
Yeah, it's kind of a stressful time right now.
It is for a lot of people, but I always say there's a lot of great that comes out of it. It's not just, great companies that are going to be built. We all wish for time away. We all wish all the time, and we kind of got what we wished for. And, people can say, well, Jay, you don't understand. I'm going through a tough time. We all go through tough times. And I've been through 3 incredibly tough times. It's just that I've worked more on myself during this time than probably any other point in my life. And for that it was just a complete overhaul. So I really looked in and just worked on my network of my and framing, and just worked on myself during this. And people say, well, you have to see clients. How did you see them? Well, there's a unique thing called Zoom, like we're doing now. There's unique ways. You have to be able to pivot, and you have to be able to morph. And that's the game changer for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's just, in sort of the service industry and well-being and coaching industry, it's just speeding up what was already happening anyway.
Of course. It's a great point.
But I found it very, for years, I've been moaning that I haven't had enough time to write a book or set up a YouTube or set up a podcast, and all those things I've been moaning about, I've been doing now. And it's, so I'm kind of not happy about it, because it is a kind of a weird situation in London, New York, so I'd rather it wasn't like this, but I am getting a lot done. So I don't want to come out of this lockdown thinking, oh my God, what a waste of time.
Sure. I was going to say, we should all take that mindset that you just said. We don't want to come out of that saying what if, or with regrets. Discipline is tough. It's a very big pain that a lot of us avoid, but discipline is a great thing that can not only help you build character, but help you build a second career if you'd like.
And how do you build discipline then?
By falling first. It's kind of very interesting that you mentioned that, because it's like, when my son and, was learning to walk, or when we're all learning to walk, we always have people encouraging us. You fall, you get up, you fall, you get up, you fall, you get up. You can do it. And as we start to get older, the cheerleaders start to fall off, and people start putting you down when you fall down. So we have to become our greatest cheerleaders, because you have to figure it's very lonely at the top. It's easy to get there. It's hard to sustain it. And what people need to do is that they have to really look themselves in the mirror. I'm very big into more in morning rituals. I changed my whole framing. And what I mean by that is, I used to go to bed very late because I used to try to exhaust the day and get everything done. Now I shut off at 7, and I'm in bed shortly after I put my son down at 7:30. I go to bed between 8 and 9 o'clock. And then I'm up at between 4:30 at the latest. So between that 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock, I get the most work done, from posts to blogs to, I always start off, my morning rituals go, as soon as I get up, I have gratitude. Secondly, I do my posts, because that really gets me fired up. The third thing is I call in until I'm motivational. I've been following this guy, Ron Gilbert, for years. I call in him. Then I do my incantations. Then I do my meditation. Then I write out in my journal what I'm going after. I ask myself 2 questions: what I'm looking forward to, and what is the outcome. So I'll write down my checklist, what I have to get accomplished today, and then I'll write out my journal on how I'm going to get it accomplished and how I want to feel at the end of the day. And then after I do my 20-minute workout, I take a cold shower and I'm ready to go.
I'm slightly impressed, because I've read about stuff like this, like from Tony Robbins and Tim Ferriss, The Rock, all these guys, like, Mark Wahlberg. They kind of have similar kind of principles, and I try it, but I guess I'm just not as motivated as you, because that sounds like a brilliant way of sort of starting your day.
But here's the thing, you are motivated, because look where you have come, and look how many people come to you. You have a voice that people want to hear, so you do have the motivation. That's where the discipline comes in. We either go through 2 pains in life: the discipline of the pain of discipline, or the pain of regret. And you never want to ask yourself, what if? So I always tell people, do my 8 minutes of power. You get up, have gratitude, make your bed.
Mm-hmm.
After that, ask yourselves 2 questions. You don't have to write them down. What are you looking forward to? What's the outcome I want? Do 1 minute of whether it's yoga, meditation. Then I do my incantation, which I say like, by December 31st, 2020, I, Jay Cardiello, will accomplish this by doing this, 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 and this. I see it, feel it, and believe it. I meditate on it and do a cold shower. And that takes 8 minutes. And if you don't have 8 minutes, you don't have a life. And that's the big thing, is that you do have the motivation, or you wouldn't be in the position you are today.
Yeah, possibly. Possibly. Oh, with a lot of luck, to be honest, but where I'm involved. But yeah, I mean, how long have you been doing that routine for?
The recent one to going to bed at 8 o'clock, that has started at the beginning of August. And what it was is that I was wondering, I was going to be running the New York City Marathon until it closed down, but I still was running. And I was wondering why I was so fatigued in the morning. And I was like, well, I'm getting 5 hours of sleep. I've always gotten 5 hours of sleep. So I all of a sudden said, you know what? I'm going to change this now. So I started going to bed really, really early. And even though I'd wake up early, I was like, wow, I'm getting 7 hours of sleep. So that's, this is a good segue to, what I focus on most of my clients is sleep. And when I'm getting that 7-8 hours, it's like I'm in a totally different mindset. The stress levels decrease dramatically. My focus during the day has been heightened so much. It feels like I'm in a different kind of mind and a different kind of body. And my workouts and even my choice of eating has become so much. And so I've taken what I've preached so many years to my clients, and I said, let me start getting 7. Let me start getting 8 hours. And it's made the difference. And people are saying, well, you don't understand. I need to work 2 jobs. I need to work so-and-so. You probably won't need to work 2 jobs, not because you'll get fired, but if you invested more in yourself with the sleep, you'll probably be able to accumulate more wealth. So I would say there's 2 supplements that people should start taking more of. 1 is sleep and 2 of water. And if my clients don't take that, or my patients don't take that, and they don't really dive into it, invest in it, then I can't work with them.
So with the sleep thing, because I guess I at the moment, I sleep about 4.5 to 5 hours a night. I have done for about 2 decades. But I want to take something from every time I talk to someone on a podcast. So what I'm going to do as of tonight for 2 weeks is I'm going to go to bed early just to see what it feels like, because you live by it and it's helped you out. So in 2 weeks, if I start this tonight, do you think I will feel different immediately, or is there a time lag?
I don't think you'll feel better. I will say this, it's everybody's body's different. You may feel great the next day. You may feel like you have jet lag and your body may have to get accustomed to it. One thing I will say is make sure you keep your water uptake, half your body weight in ounces of water a day. But if you start getting that, just instead of, if you're going from 4, don't go to 8, because you're going to get so frustrated. If you go from 4, go to 4:45, and then the next day go from 4:45 to 5 o'clock. Yeah. So, 5 hours, because one of the biggest things you're going to start saying, like, wow, that little thing that frustrated me first thing in the morning doesn't frustrate me as much. And there's nothing more peaceful when you're awake at the sunrise. One of my friends said this to me the other day. He's like, there's nothing more peaceful, because he sleeps like I do. There's nothing more peaceful when you wake up and you already got much of your day done and the sun rises, but you're not fatigued. He goes to bed at 8. He wakes up at about 3:34. And he's like, there's nothing more beautiful when you have those 3 to 4 hours of just calm peace before everything hits the fan.
Nice. Tell you one of the things I started doing a couple of months ago, actually. I started doing quite long runs every morning, like somewhere between sort of 6 and 10K every morning.
Wow.
So before I do anything, before I even brush my teeth, I just get up, trainers on, and just go. And I find that's kind of my meditation to start my day.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's amazing.
Yeah, I really recommend it to anybody. I'm not that much of a runner, but I am now, I guess. And it's, yeah. You know what? One of the things I want to talk about, because I follow you on Instagram, and how old are you, Jay? Is it like mid-40s?
Yeah, I'm 47. In about 6 months I'll be 48. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
47.
Aside from, your body looking ridiculous, I've seen you do like box jumps, like some amazing plyometric drills and pull-ups. Like you can do some incredible things with your body. How? I'm really impressed, man. Really impressed. Like what's your training regime like now, and how's it evolved in the last 10, 15 years?
Sure. So, well, first off, I just got to thank my parents for the genes they gave me. And that's it all stems from them. It's not,
You
so,
jump
but,
so high. Those plyometrics you do. It's like,
uh, well, I was a long jumper, so that does help a
okay,
little
yeah,
bit.
that helps.
But the big thing is that, I think the thing you're referring to was a garbage canister where, it was like 5 feet. Right.
Yeah.
And I just looked at it and I was like, I knew how it would feel if I got on top of it. And I failed, I hit it a few times. I'm not going to post that, but, so the big thing is that I just saw myself and I was like, listen, if I get on top of it, I have the capabilities. The only thing stopping me is me. So let me just climb up on it, see how it feels when I'm up there, jump off and do it. And that's what I did. I saw myself doing it before I did it. I got up on it. I felt it, put my hands up in the air, jumped off, and I was like, all right, now it's mine. So I created it in my mindset that I already did it. And that's one of the big things. Your mind doesn't know if your body's doing it or not. You can completely visualize that you've won the lottery and you all of a sudden get into that frame of mind. It's like they say the laws of attraction or the secret. It's just like if you visualize enough, it's going to happen, whether good or bad.
And tell me about your training regime.
Sure. It's gonna seem pretty lax to a lot of trainers. I train how I feel that day. I have a set thing that I do, but I really focus on more than anything is my flexibility, and that's really, really big to me. Not only because I had 16 surgeries to date, and some days getting up it doesn't feel very well. It's that I focus so much on that. I focus so much on unilateral training. If you went to the gym with me, though, you're not gonna like be like, whoa, wow, I can't believe you lift that much. I'm not lifting a whole bunch of weight or doing. There's only 2 drills that I will go after heavy because I've eyed this record and I have to break it before I'm 50. Is that I do lat pull down and I just try to crush my lats, and I do chin ups until I crush them. Cause I went after that chin up world record and I did 57 and there's 57 in a minute. I did 50 at 45 seconds and my tendon just popped in my elbow and I just couldn't lift myself after that. So I had to take a good year off of it, but those are the only 2. And the reason why I do is just because there's no other reason that I like it. It's fun. It's fun going to the bar and, you're in the gym and you bang out 30, 35, 40 chin-ups and, you're just like, yeah, I'm 47 years old. And it's like, all right, cool. So, but that's the only real one. So I'm in and out of the gym in 20 minutes at most.
Wow. Have you had periods of time where you've let yourself go completely?
No. I've always kept in shape.
Yeah.
If the minimum thing I'll do every day, if I can't get to the gym, like, if, say my son is he's having trouble sleeping or he wakes up early, some point a day, I'll just get down, I'll do 100 push-ups. If it takes me 10 sets, 2 sets or 1 set, it's just I have to do something physical. And so I always put the minimum bar is I have to do 100 push-ups a day.
That's good. Mate, I just randomly, a week ago, I decided to do 1,000 push-ups and I kind of committed to it and I forgot how horrible it was. Like as soon as it took me an hour. It took me a long time. I don't know if you ever
Wow.
tried it. Yeah.
No, I don't. No, I won't do that.
No, don't do it. It's just lactic acid. You start off, like I can sort of do 50 push-ups in a go with no drama. But then, when I got to like 950, it was 1 rep at a time. just hideous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
just it took a long time. So yeah, don't do that. I've got some questions for you. I like to finish these chats with sort of final 5 questions. Okay.
Sure.
So
Okay.
let's get these up. So first of all, best book you've read in the last 12 months?
Best book I've read, probably How to Win and Influence People, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh, is that Dale Carnegie, is it?
Dale Carnegie, yeah.
Carnegie. Oh, okay, good. Classic. Favorite TV show in the last few years? Last 5 years?
Friends from College.
Oh, I don't know that. What's that?
Yeah, you must watch it. It's on Netflix. It is hilarious. It's about 7 friends who went to Harvard together, and it's just a great laugh.
All right, I'll check it out. All right, who inspires you in the fitness and wellbeing industry?
That's a great question. One of my closest friends is Gunnar Peterson. He set the standard and the bar in so many areas. So if I say in the fitness, it's probably Gunnar, and also Jerry Palomari. Jerry used to be the strength coach of the New York Giants back in the 90s and early 2000s, and those are the 2 people that I looked up to.
You know what? I mean, I've not met either of them, but Gunnar, I was writing an article for, I think it was Men's Fitness, one of the British fitness magazines, and it was about basketball fitness. And I didn't know, and I just DM'd Gunnar, because I know him a little bit, because I've trained some of his clients when they come over here, but I don't really know him that well. And he was so kind. He spent like 45 minutes like explaining things to me and giving me some quotes about some of the stuff he does with his Lakers, I think he works with now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's amazing. Yep.
He was just so sort of courteous and kind, and he doesn't know me, and he spent so much time sort of helping me out just for this article.
Oh, he always does that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. All right, next. Favorite quote?
Never give yourself the opportunity to ask what if. And that was from my father.
Yeah. And final question. What are you most excited about in your career going forward?
To see how it ends.
Do you have, let's talk about that though. I mean, you've achieved so much already. Do you have some big things you're working on, or?
Yeah, I'm coming out with a product I'm pretty excited about. I always think of things that are very simple. So I have a product to really help people with lower back pain. I'm pretty excited about that one. And what I mean by how it's going to end out is that, and also too, my fiance, Cindy Barship, and I were opening a place called Wealth Lab, and it's a ketamine clinic that we're going to use ketamine to help resistant depression. We're working with a group of doctors who have come on board with us, and they're going to be actually running my program, my 12-week program, and we're going to have 4 silos of clients. We're going to have ones for cognitive health, one for inflammation, one for PTSD and depression, and then one for addiction. So we're opening that in New York City in late winter, early spring. So we're excited about that. So
that's exciting.
Yes, yeah.
Have you had like a bricks and mortar place before? Have you had your own gym, or is this the first time you're doing something?
Yeah, never had it. I've been asked. I've been thinking, do I want to do a gym? And I would rather partner with someone to do a gym and let them run it, and use it as a playground and bring people there. But no, I've never done it. And when I do it this time, it's really all focused on behavior and mindset, because at the end of the day, there's a reason why Ben and Jerry and Johnny Walker show up at your door. It's not because you missed out on your push-ups. It's because you have a poor mindset. Yeah.
All right. Wonderful. Well, mate, good luck with that. I'm sure it'll be a huge success like everything else you've done.
Well, thank you so much for everything, my brother. It's an honor to be on your show.
Well, what's the best way for people to follow you?
Instagram is always the best, at Jay Cardiello. And people DM me, and my story is up there, and people can learn about me, and that's really the best way, and that's how I keep in contact. And if you send me your phone number, expect I'm going to call you. If you send me your email, expect I'm going to email you back. So
I love that. Well, thank you, Jay. I really appreciate your time today. Really lovely chatting to you. And yeah, hopefully I'll talk to you soon off camera at some point.
Anytime, anytime. You have a friend here in New York now.
All right. Cheers, buddy. All right. Take care. Hey, so I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I guess the main takeaway Jay would like you to think of would be to sleep more and to move in with a rapper if you want to be more successful. I think that was the message, or maybe I missed something. Now, there's a lot of insights, a lot of good things, Jay was saying there. I do like. There are three things in particular I liked. One, the focus on that you can't always control life events, and he's had a few shitty life events. Same as my last guest, Kathy. But it's how you respond to them. That's what makes you into a warrior. That's what makes you to someone who's inspiring. So sometimes life gives you a bad hand. Sometimes just shit happens. How you deal with it, that's what counts. Okay. Now, I am on the slight kind of viewpoint that life's sometimes not fully in our control. I like the analogy of like a roller coaster where you just hold on and go for the ride, and like Bill Hicks said, it's all a ride. I that's why I like living my life, but I don't write down my goals and intentions every morning. I just kind of go with the flow. However, that works when you have a compelling reason. Now, I've always been a coach, and I love sharing and helping people out, and that informs every decision I make, every course I do, every kind of business decision, every lifestyle decision since I've been 16 has been like, how can I help people more? So because I have that compelling kind of thing in my head where I want to help, I don't really feel like I need to write down my goals. I just go with the flow, and by going with the flow, I've had arguably success. I mean, success is a funny one. I always feel a bit weird when magazines call me successful. Basically what they mean is like famous people want to hire me. If that's success, yeah, I'm successful, but I personally don't see myself successful because there's lots of different measures of success, and I'm not making billions. Not everyone is buying everything I have. I'm doing well compared to other trainers, but there's a huge space above me where I kind of feel like I need to go into, and listening to people like Jay sometimes, he's definitely sparked an idea with me today where I want to push myself more. So yeah, let me go back to the things I've learned from today's podcast. So sleep. I recorded that podcast with Jay 2 weeks ago. For the last 2 weeks, I've been sleeping 6 hours a night, which is 20% more than I normally do. I feel great. So do that. Yeah, for most of us who work a bit too hard, which is most of you, I guess, sleep a bit more. If you're already sleeping 9-10 hours a night, then sort it out. You're not going to achieve shit with that kind of like being unconscious all the time. So for you, sleep less, but for most of us, sleep more. The thing which I really want to take on board is the thing he did for his business, where he contacted everyone he knew and just said, "Hey, how can I help?" I like that. And I've never done that. I've been a little bit reactive. I've been a bit guilty of just kind of, because we have so many opportunities coming into the company, I just kind of say yes or no, and I kind of do it that way. I don't massively reach out to people to try and get new business. I can't think of times we've done that. Even with hotels we work with, like the Four Seasons Shangri-La, they came to us. Obviously clients come to us, and customers come to us. We barely even advertise. We just kind of do our shit well, and hopefully people talk about it, which doesn't sound a very smart business plan, but you have a good product, it works great, but I'm sure I could be more strategic about it, and I'm going to be. And Jay's inspired me, so thank you, Jay. I'm going to spend the next week spending, 3-4 hours a day emailing every single person on my email list. And I've got a lot of people. I don't mean people who subscribe to our newsletter, but people I've had contact with in some way, on my Gmail and on my work email. I'm just going to email every single person individually and say, "Hey, hope you're well. Give me a shout if I can help you in any way. Here's some free things," and give them links to either my high performance living course, which is free, my warrior challenge, which is free, my glide away workout, which is free, my daily emails, which are free, my body image guide, blah, 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 my YouTube, my podcast. I've got a bunch of free stuff, which I talked about at the start of the episode. So I'm just going to offer that, and I'm not going to try and upsell or sell people stuff. I don't really want to. Commercially, we're doing fine. People buy our stuff all the time. I kind of just want to make more of a difference to people's lives. And I think contacting people who already know me a little bit, enough to email me, is a kind of smart way of doing it. So maybe if you're a coach too, you should do the same. Let me know how you get on. Funnily enough, my next guest, who trains quite a lot of famous people, she's cool, you'll like her. She that's how she got her way into the sort of celebrity world, by just contacting PAs and saying, hey, if anyone comes to London, I can help them. And it worked for her. Now she looks after some amazing people and got some really close bonds with her clients, and she's had some great success. And it's all because she went out of her comfort zone and did that. And now I never really did that. So I'm quite excited to see where this is going to go. So thank you again, Jay. I'm going to start that pretty much in like 10 minutes time. I'm going to I've cleared out a bit of my diary. And I'm going to contact everyone I know and offer them value, offer them help with nothing in return. And that's the key. If you're doing this, please don't upsell. You kind of negate all the good work you do if you just make it into like a sales pitch. No, it can be like 90% offering, 10% you can have a link at the bottom saying, hey, check out the stuff I sell. That's fine. But the ratio should be like 80-20, 90-10, not 50-50, and let alone not worse. Does that make sense? I'm waffling now. Anyway, next week, another coach. She's a coach based in England, and it's a video interview, so you get to see us. So if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be more entertaining. If you're listening to this on Spotify podcasts and iTunes, etc., you can still listen to it all on those. But this little speech I'm giving now is actually on video. So if you want to see my pretty little face, you can go to YouTube, Dan Roberts TV. Alrighty, take care and stay safe, please.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the MX Podcast. All feedback, reviews, and social shares are very much appreciated. To find out more about the Methodology X Online Members Club, our award-winning MX Group fitness classes, or to join our global family of MX instructors, please visit danrobertsgroup.com.